So I just reread my own book, and it was crazy. So this book came out about a year ago, and it's about a prison island where political dissidents are sent to die. And you follow Mina McTollan, who's a woman on this island, and usually women don't get sent to this island. And she makes some male friends, and they have some fun. But the story's actually about the coup that's going on because she was sent there. Right, her father, who was an important political figure, was killed, and then she was sent to this island to also die. But most of the story isn't about the coup, and it's not about the politics. It's about the relationship she's building with these men who are keeping her safe on this really, really dangerous island. Only at the very end do you start to get a sense of just how chaotic and crazy some kind of like regime change really is. And one of the features of this story is that she worked as a prostitute for her father to get blackmail on men who were politically important or had a lot of wealth in their country. It's a very dystopian story where climate change has basically ruined the planet and people are dying, and it's a really bad situation, and so that's the situation she finds herself in. And I'm just kind of looking at this story that I published in 2024, and I'm thinking about what's going on now. You know, like with how many regime changes are happening, either because of movements of young people actually standing up for themselves, like we saw a lot of in Asia in the past year, or regime changes that are done by the hands of the United States government, and how terrifying it must be when you're just like living your life. Because this story, most of it is pretty pleasant. It's just people hang out on a beach, chilling, and then right towards the end, it really gets just crazy and people start dying. And the shock of that. The other thing I thought about after reading it is how it looks after the Epstein files came out. You know, because she did that kind of work. She used like blackmail and got people to do things they weren't proud of so that her and her father could control them. That's what she did. In her case, she thought she was doing it to help people because, her father was a good man, even though he forced her to do those things. So it's all very complicated. And a lot of the other people on the island also did relatively bad things before they got there. She started working for her dad when she was a kid. It's a very messed up story. And it's such a strange story to try to sell because of what it says about life in general. Because 80% of the story is just people getting to know each other and trying to survive on an island, getting clean water, getting food, things like that, and learning about each other's pasts and how they ended up there. And then right towards the end, that's when the coup happens, and, suddenly there's soldiers on the island, suddenly there's gunfire, and they're just trying to stay alive in complete chaos. And, I don't know. So if you want to, I've been thinking about it, and, because I just read it, and I read it for fun, and it was a good time. But if you want to give it a look, Isle of Repentance, it's on Kindle Unlimited. But yeah, just thinking about how these issues, it's a political kind of story, this dystopian, weird, reverse harem romance I wrote, but, it leaves this strange feeling in me when I read it, and I don't know. So that's all. I just wanted to ramble a little bit.